You're now tuning to 13signsastrology.com. So let's get into the first aspect that we was talking about yesterday, where like a person that will use their vessel in some form of a way to generate finance for themselves. So what I mean by that is that a person that learns how to use some form of a natural ability of their body and they turn that into finance. So like for instance, like an athlete is a good example of this. And there's other examples, but what I want to do is I want to isolate one example, and not of an athlete, but of more of a darker example. And I'm gonna show you how much money they're actually making off of just the one aspect where I was talking about the Dravidian aspect we were talking about in the last episode, where people use their bodies as vessels to generate money. Now, why would a company pay pay you to use drugs? You got to ask yourself that. This is how I kind of first started getting led into this research that I'm on right now. It was this particular guy, one of my fans, and he saw me out in public, and he was telling me how he was a part of this company, and they was paying him to use drugs. And they was paying him a lot of money actually to use different types of drugs. Like some of them was like over the counter, just different types of drugs or whatever he was using. And he never really questioned like why they was paying him the money or anything like that. But for, you know me, I'm like an inquisitive mind. I'm like an inquisitive person. So what I did was that I decided to ask him. I mean, to research, not to ask him, but to research these companies. I'm like, what is this coming from? Why are they willing to pay people, and certain people, mind you, to use drugs? Because they do put you through a test before you actually get hired on with the company or whatever the case, or get the contract. They put you through a test before you even get the contract, before they decide to start giving you these different drugs to experiment with. Essentially, is what it is. So when I started researching it, that's when I got into the research of finding out about all of these different ways that the government is just benefiting off of our body. And that's what led me into like finding out like how the government is benefiting off of you every time you bust a nut, like if you're a dude, or every time you have an orgasm if you're a female. Like the government is benefiting off of that. He's like, you're right, how are they benefiting? They have energy weapons and energy machines that they use, and they extract energy, and they extract your energy because you send out. You got to remember, when you have an orgasm, you take it lightly because you don't know. When you do that, you're sending out more energy than it takes to power a city every time you have an orgasm. Like it's like an explosion that takes place. So what you gotta ask yourself is that if this generating that much energy, don't you think the government got a way of harnessing that energy and using that energy as weapons against people, or using that energy as a weapon even against you, your own sexual energy, harnessing that, storing that, and then using that against you? And that's exactly what they're doing. This is how deep it is. So this is when you get into them using like different ray guns and different things like that to target people. See, the targeted individual program is a lot deeper than what people realize, because it's hidden weapons that they use, as silent weapons that are the most effective, like the weapon of vision, for instance. Why when you go and get an ID nowadays, they ask you if you want to donate your eyes now? Did you know that? You go get an ID. I was just on the phone with them. Like, they weren't doing this years ago. I don't remember this. I know they were saying you can donate certain organs, but now they're specifying. Do you want to donate your eyes? You know, if something happens to you, or whatever the case may be, your eyes though, and the ID. Because I was taking you guys back a couple videos back. I was telling you how the ID ties into the eyes, the iris. See, the ID thing is a lot deeper than what people realize. And I'm just pointing all this out because these are systems and ways that the government uses to generate money. You ask yourself, how does government generate money? How are they doing X, Y, Z? And this is how they're doing it. They're doing it off of you. Every time you sign that contract, every time you know, like for people that play sports, every time you slam dunk that ball or whatever, the government is getting money off of that every single time you do it, and your abilities. So what the Dravidians learn how to do is that they only believed in generating finance from their physical abilities. So this gave them full control of their resources. This was their way of sovereignty because they believe As long as they produced it with their hands and created it with their bodies, then it was theirs. It was their form of currency, actually. So that's one aspect that I wanted to kind of point out. I'm gonna break down all the different ways that they were generating money and go into the actual system of it, and show you how in this economy how we're still using some of those same principles like today, man. Like I said, these companies paying people. This guy was getting paid more than a person would make working a job to use drugs, man. Like he was staying in immaculate hotels and things of that nature from using drugs, like driving around in nice vehicles and all of that from using drugs. And I'm serious because I met this guy in person, and I would never lie to you guys. So you got to ask yourself, like, why? I mean, he showed me the money. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why would they pay him this kind of money? It's because these companies, they know your birth certificate, who you are as a person, the energy that you know what I'm saying, emit and give out can all be used and capitalized and gained off of in commerce. So I'm gonna get back up with more food for thought for today. As I say, we do this every day here on 13 Side Astrology. Feel free to donate at any time to our move and mission at 13 Signs Astrology at gmail.com via PayPal. That's how we as far as raise our money to keep continuing to drop information and make these videos, because as I teach people, I believe this information is really the only information that's going to really carry you over into this new paradigm that I've been talking about. Like if you don't have this occult information mastered and this real information about the archetypes and different deities and how they came and created us, and if you don't accept that as a reality in my aspect and what I believe personally, you can't make it through this new energy that we in. You won't be able to prosper even financially at some point, even because everything is about to get regulated. Like everything's going to go back to the way it started. And the entities and the deities that introduced us to these different economic models, they're going to come back and take back what's theirs. They want to come back and, like they say, see what happened with their children as they teach. Many humans don't want to accept this because it's like, I'm not nobody's child. I'm my mama's child. These people, I don't know them. I don't know. They're just aliens. But it's like they know you. They know all about you. You know what I'm saying? And they left us here as a project and experiment. It's just like a business. That's what I'm trying to get people to see. It's just like a business. They left us here as a project and experiment. And of course, you will come back and check on your company. So we come back up with much more. We out of Chicago right now, by the way. Just want to say peace to everybody out there. And as always, stay vigilant.